Hey guys, Devon here. This is our end of the year episode. Justin and I talk about how 2024 was for both of us personally, highlights of the year such as going on television, and going over some of the cool guests we had on this year and what we hope for 2025 with the podcast. We had more listeners than we've ever had before this year. We did brand new interviews with guests pretty much every single week, and we want to make sure to say thank you to everyone who follows us and who is part of this journey as Justin and I try to figure out fatherhood and how to share people's stories. We are always looking for new guests to have on, and we're always looking for better ways to support dads. So thanks for being with us for 2024, and here's to 2025 and all the new adventures we'll have. Enjoy the episode.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, man, this is the last episode of 2024.
Let's recap the year. I mean, let's recap personally first, because, you know, you and I both had some casual years. I'm actually gonna, on a side thing, gonna pull up our Instagram. That way I can try to go back to the beginning of the year. Because we did a ton this year.
Yeah, I made a top 10 list of guests for myself. So if you can quickly do that, or just off the top of your head.
Sure. Top 10. I don't know if I have a top 10. I have a most important, like I have favorites, you know, but I don't want to rank them, you know, because like
no, you don't have to rank them. I didn't rank them. I just did 10 most notable guests.
Notable. Okay, cool. That's good. Because you know, I don't want to have like a favoritism, you know, contest or anything like that, you know.
Yeah, don't want to hurt anybody's feelings.
But you know, if you're my favorite guest, that's really what I'm trying to say. Yeah, I'm going to scroll back to the beginning of the year on our Instagram because it is kind of like a timeline of what all we did this year. I still can't believe that we got asked to go on TV and went on TV. That is still something where I'm like, I never would have thought that I would have gone on television in general. And then especially going on television for the podcast is still just like, what? That's crazy to me.
That was really cool to have Larissa contact us. And I wish she was still on it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like we probably would be asked to come back on if that was the case. But I was so nervous before that.
Were you?
But during and then after, I was like, I got a little adrenaline rush after it, a little hyped. Yeah. So I was like, I think I could do this again.
Nice. I think one thing that helped a ton with that was how good Local on 2 was with prepping us. Like they did such a good job. Like, cause you and I have never done TV before. I worked at a TV station, but I've never been like talking to the anchors, hanging out with the anchors, welcoming guests, getting them all set up is very different than you being the guest, you being the one to talk. And like, they did a really phenomenal job of, they basically typed out a script for us of like, hey, here's the question you're going to get asked. Yep. And then here's how we expect you to respond. You'll probably be asked this as a follow-up. And it meant you and I could actually prep for it. And like, cause you like knowing you only have 45 seconds to make a point when you and I are not like I run my mouth a lot, but I'm not a very concise person, you know?
Well, at the very beginning, before they gave us a script, I was like, I have no idea what they're going to ask us. So like the shock of just being in front of the camera and then them asking a question and having to come up with the answer, I was freaking out. But when they had the script, it definitely helped out.
It does. It made a very big difference. And we wouldn't have been as smooth, I think, if not for the prep that they did on our behalf. And which is like, also just want to note for Local on 2, if you guys are even listening to this, that like, you guys clearly like want to represent people in the Nashville area and uplift them and give them a chance to share their story concisely and share it with people. So you guys helped us a ton with that. So only gratitude. I feel like the dad walk really like, whenever Shelby Bottoms, their Instagram account linked with one of our posts, that like exploded the interest in the dad walk. I feel like the TV segment, because that was a pretty big highlight of it. And also, that like Shelby Bottoms actually like did the collab post with us meant that it opened up to all of their followers a little bit better. So,
but during the winter time, it seems to slow down. And I reached out to him a couple of days ago and said, I think if we're going to do like the dad's night out type of thing, we probably need to have some consistency. Like for my guy group that I have, we meet the third Thursday of every month. Yeah. So if we do that with the dad's night out, a certain day every month, whoever can make it, but we all know it's that day. Yeah. I think that would probably help out with consistency and getting people more involved.
It's always really hard to know what to do with that because like you want to do polls of being like, all right, everyone, what days work for you this month? Because I don't want to plan something knowing no one can make it, you know?
Yeah.
So but I also agree with the sentiment or the plan of, all right, this is when we're doing it. Is this day, this time, message us for where the location is, but definitely third Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. And then everyone knows like, hey, this is when it's happening. So, and
if 2 people show up, that's 2 dads that are looking for community and looking for just someone to lean on or talk to. So, hey, that's better than nothing.
Yep. No, I think I went and watched yesterday. Liverpool played Tottenham, 2 Premier League teams. And there's 2 Liverpool, me and another guy are Liverpool fans on the same street, and 2 other people are Tottenham fans. So I just did like a group thread to them, or group text to be like, hey, do we all want to watch this game together? And everyone's like, oh yeah, sure. That sounds like a great idea. I think most dads or men are really willing to hang out and really eager to hang out. They usually don't lead with the question of, do you want to? Like if there's an event there that's already planned, I think most dads figure out a way of how to show up and be there and enjoy it. But it's just that step. I think from what I can tell, most men aren't used to taking that first step of like just the invite or the risk that comes along with it.
Yeah. Because a lot of them are afraid of denial.
Of course. Or their head is already like a million different places. And to then suddenly be like, well, now I'm going to go meet new friends. It's like, okay, that sounds good. Not all of us are golden retrievers like me, where they will talk to anyone that exists. So
we all need to be yes man.
Maybe. You know what? Let's read some people-pleasing books and see when yes is appropriate.
Messing. Yes, I just watched Yes Men.
Did you?
Yes, with Jim Carrey.
Is that Such also Zoe? Movie. Is that Zoe Deschanel also?
Yes.
Yeah, no, Going on TV was awesome. I feel like the dad walks, even like other Devon with an I, being willing to help out and kind of take lead with that was a huge help with that.
Yeah, so, I like to create the things, but then I'm not good with the continuous follow-up.
I'm pretty good at maintaining. Just let me maintain. I think whenever I asked other Devon about it, I was like, hey man, so I'm already like booking the guests, finding the guests, getting time for the guests, editing the guests, talking to the guests and all of that. So when it comes to planning dad night out stuff, I got nothing to give. I can think of something. It's not going to be a good event. Well,
yeah. I mean, even the dad's night out, we did the putt shack. That was a lot of fun. Yep. We did the Nashville Sounds.
Yeah, how was that? Was that cool?
That was a lot of fun. Yeah, it was me, Jordan, I think Doug was there, and Evan.
Nice.
So, yeah, that was a great group right there.
So this year, you not only got pregnant, but your wife also birthed a child this year, right? Like, because when did you find out you guys were pregnant?
Man, was it in February? January or February, somewhere around in that.
But in 24, you guys conceived and birthed a child. So
yes,
24 has been a cat and moved and turned 40.
Yes.
You know,
so
casual things.
We ended up becoming pregnant, or she ended up becoming pregnant, and then we decided to try to renovate our house. Yeah, that was crazy. Trying to get it to where, even though Briar wasn't going to have a room, just a more usable space for the bonus room, and then redoing our bathrooms and everything like that, and then as like I'm putting in the medicine cabinets for our bedroom, finish it out, Haley sends a link to this house that we're currently in.
Yeah.
And it was just like, I looked at the pictures and I immediately texted her back, let's go look at it. We looked at it that day, put in an offer that day. And it was a little stressful.
Yeah.
Trying to sell the house. We weren't as lucky as you.
Well, what's weird is you guys
waited had we done it a couple months earlier, probably would have had better chance of.
That's so dumb though, isn't it? Because we sold our house in May, or put on market and sold it in May. Or I guess technically the sale finalized in June, but like at the very end of spring, beginning of summer. And when did you guys do it for you guys? Was it September, October?
It was end of August and into September. Yeah.
And Justin literally lived around the corner from my house. So like the comps were like not
your house was a little bit bigger, had an extra room.
Yeah.
Was newer.
It was a new
as
build.
well.
Yeah.
So
it was only 7 years old. Yeah.
Yeah. Where mine was almost 80.
Really? Yeah. It's still ridiculous to me, though, that like you guys came down to the wire on selling your house. Like you guys were like the last weekend possible before it was like you either sell your house this weekend or you back out of the house you're under contract for.
Yeah. I think we sold either the first or second week in September.
Yeah.
we had told our realtor like September 14th is the cutoff. Like if we don't sell our house by then, we are going to just cut ties with the other house and just live in this house.
Yep.
Which it was really, really just draining to have that feeling at that time, because we didn't really have a room for Briar. And also Briar was coming at the very end of October. So we needed to make sure we knew where we were going to live.
Yep.
And not knowing just was an added stress.
Yeah, because it is.
Yeah.
And like, it guys, either you had a house that was going to meet a lot of your needs that was very contingent on a very big thing. And you had to, like, whenever you go to buy a house or move or anything like that, like, you create so many dreams for whatever that new space can be. So to know that it could have been pulled out from under you for something that, like, you can't control, it's happened to a lot of people where, you start to dream about a house, you think of your future in the house, and then suddenly the house doesn't happen for you. And you're just like, oh, now I have to start all over with my dreams. I'm tired.
Yeah. But no, it worked out. We moved in like 3 weeks before Briar was born. So we did a lot of unpacking and getting settled in, because Haley was like, we have to get stuff settled before he comes. I don't want to do this after.
Did Haley work up until her C-section?
Yes, the week prior. We had the C-section on Thursday, so she took off that whole week.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah.
But that means you both were working full-time with a child, with Haley super pregnant, trying to unpack a house, trying to make stuff feel livable.
Yep.
Also knowing that your life was about to completely change in like any day. So. And
then we had Briar.
Yeah.
And now we're here living in Murfreesboro in the downtown area, and we absolutely love it.
Yeah.
Loved taking Ada for walks down to the square.
Mm-hmm.
Walking around the square, getting our ice cream, walking to the playground.
Yeah.
I love the walkability. That was something that I was really missing with our neighborhood.
Yep.
It was walkable to a certain extent, but there were no sidewalks. There was people drag racing on our streets constantly, where that's not happening here, but I love it. Like, we walked down to just 2 blocks to the main street for the Christmas parade.
That's really nice.
I mean, that was so cool. They have, it's called a candlelight on Main Street or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
You get a ticket. You can go to the Oakland's Mansion, which is a really old, beautiful house, but also people on Main Street and some of the outer line areas that have historic houses open up their houses to people.
That's cool.
Walk. So we did that 2 Saturdays ago.
Yeah.
And we only got to go see one house.
Yeah.
Having 2 kids. So next year we're going to like have a babysitter so we can actually go and enjoy. But it's such a cool thing to have available here.
Yeah. Do you miss being able to walk to Deg Tai though? Because I miss being able to walk to Deg Tai.
I never walked to Deg Tai.
You never walked to Deg Tai?
No, I always drove.
Man, that parking lot was so bad, though. That's why I always walked. Because the parking lot was like, you get 5 options to park here. And if you're not one of the 5 or 7 cars there, then you got to park.
I do miss
next in front of my house. You park in front of my house. That's where you're going to park.
I do miss it. The Thai restaurants here, I mean, they're good, but they're nothing like.
No, I mean, the food scene on Nolensville Pike was always just like a fantastic hidden gem that was filled with Egyptian, Kurdish, and like Thai food. That was always fantastic.
All those taco stands and taco trucks.
So many pupuserias.
Man, yeah.
It was so good. But I'm glad, already living in Littleton or out here in Colorado, having sidewalks makes a massive difference. Like, it's huge. Like, because in our neighborhood, people would use it through cuts, in Nashville, our neighborhood, people would use it as a cut-through street. So they'd be drag racing. And like, there were no sidewalks. So like, you'd have to jump. If you thought a car was going to hit you, you'd literally jump into a ditch to make sure you and your kids were safe. So not doing that anymore is a very, very, very different experience.
So tell us about your experience. Man. Yours was a totally different experience.
Yeah. So we spent all of June of 2023 in Denver. Since I stay home with the kids and my wife works remotely, we had talked up wanting to move out here for like a decade or so. And we're like, maybe we're overhyping it. Maybe this isn't, maybe like it's too much. Like, what is this actually? So we spent a month out here. Summers out here are very nice. They aren't very humid. They're hot, but it's like very different. No bugs, no mosquitoes, all that good stuff. The amount of public playgrounds out here is like insane. There's like 5 playgrounds within like a mile of me right now. It's really
That's
cool.
great.
But yeah, so last June we made the decision last July, whenever we got back, like, okay, cool. Let's just plan into the school year. We'll go and move on out there and like tell people that's what our plan is and do all of that. And like, if for some reason there's a day in which it doesn't sit with us, then like we don't do it. So yeah, we put our house on the market in May, I think, and it sold before it listed. So we had a
totally different experience.
Yeah. Nashville housing market still doesn't make any sense to me. That that can happen. That like people just show up and are like, yeah, I got cash. Like, here you go. So we then spent like 5 or 6 weeks in my hometown in Indiana because we legitimately assumed our house wouldn't sell that quickly. Like, you don't want to go like, our house is great. We're going to sell before asking and before we go on the market and over asking. So we were like, all right, we'll rent an Airbnb in Indiana. I had a nephew had a birthday. My dad retired in June. So like there's stuff in Indiana. It was like, this be within like a 3-hour drive of Nashville. So like if we need to go down and fix something with the house or something like that, like I don't want to get on a plane from like Colorado and like figure this all out. So yeah, selling house still stressful as hell because still until that paper is signed, like you still like it still can fall through. So like last minute, people are like, "Well, I don't like this," and you're like, "Well, it's like an hour before signing, so I guess I have to figure out how to correct this, or else you're gonna like you're gonna be a piece of crap." So luckily, that all turned out well. We left Indiana on July 1st and went through St. Louis, stayed in Kansas City because I don't know if anyone has actually listened to this podcast. I kind of like soccer a little bit.
Just a little bit.
A little bit. So the men's national team was playing Uruguay in Kansas City. Kansas City is like a pretty solid midway point between Indiana and Colorado. So I was like, cool, we'll stay there. I'll go to that game. That'll be great. So we changed the hotel we were staying at so we could be closer to Arrowhead Stadium. We literally spent 2 nights there, I think. But I think I parked the car at like 10 or 11 p.m., woke up the next morning, completely gone. Just gone.
I'm sorry, nothing. I'm laughing.
No, it's fun. Like, if you can't laugh, like, I have to laugh at it because nothing changes.
Just the fact that, like, you walk outside and you're like, I swear I parked my car.
I know I parked it here. Like, so if you have a Kia, buy a wheel lock, buy whatever, look into it if your car can be stolen. Because I literally parked our car in a well-lit parking lot with security cameras, and kids still came in, broke out the window, stole it, and didn't get caught. So they literally have had zero repercussions for anything they did. And all that happened to me was that we lost a car, we lost a ton of shit, basically, and can't express.
There are some pieces of shits out there.
There are, sadly. Yeah, no, that whole thing is, if you want a good lesson in parenting, it's whenever your kids are old enough to understand what's happening and be scared and be legitimately scared about it. And you yourself are scared because something was just taken from you and you had zero control of any of it. And then you're trying to figure out how to, because I mean, most of what you do as a parent is try to communicate safety to your children, right? So whenever something like that happens, there isn't safety. And I can't lie to them that there's safety. We arrived in Denver in a rental van with frozen bank accounts, no car, and no permanent address. So
gosh,
like, where's your stable ground, kids? Your stable ground.
I thought my summer was stressful. Yours was tenfold.
It was something else. And then huge thanks to friend Oliver Hughes. Whenever Heather's name was on the title, mine wasn't, just how it worked out whenever we bought the car. So she took an Uber to the impound lot. She had literally 10 minutes to go through the entire car and get all of her stuff out. They literally set a timer and said, "You have 10 minutes, go."
What?
Why? Yeah. I don't. It was the policy of the place. For those of you that don't know, my wife is 5'0", 5'1". So if you could imagine looking at a woman who just told you she got off a plane from Denver and then landed here, and you can't tell her anything about the condition of the car, and she walks up, sees the back window of her family car is broken out, is totaled inside, the ignition is ripped out, and then looking at her and saying, "You have 10 minutes to get all your stuff," and setting a timer, and you don't help her with any of it. Just. How do you sleep? Yeah. That's it. That's the question. How do you on any, I'm sure there are reasons for the rules. I'm sure there are, but I also believe in humanity and empathy. Yeah, so I don't. So, but my friend Oliver, she got all the stuff out of the car and was sitting on the curb. And I was like, "Hey, Oliver, are you doing anything today?" And he was like, "No, I'm not." And I was like, "Cool. Can you drive to this location and get Heather to a rental car?" Because there was too much stuff to get back on a plane and fly back. Yeah. So she had to rent a car and then drive it all the way back. which now leads to my next point of saying thank you to my friend Joe Ernst, who set up a GoFundMe for me. Because originally I was like, we'll figure it out. We don't need a GoFundMe. We don't need this at all. And he was like, hey man, you're going to get a million questions of how can we help you? Just send them this link. And also people want to help you. But since so many people donated money, gave us gift cards and everything, it did mean that like, whenever it came to like, how do we pay for it? Like we did a morning, Heather got a call at 2 a.m. from the Kansas City police saying, we have your car. We can't tell you any details about it until you physically get here. So yeah,
I don't understand that either.
I don't know. I'm sure there's reasoning to it. And I'm going to try to focus on the positives instead of get into my extreme cynicism on it, because I think it's all stupid as hell. But yeah, so, but since people gave us money for this, that meant that like, we bought a plane ticket for a plane that left like in 2 hours. So like, that's not the cheapest plane ticket. We suddenly had to rent a car so Heather could drive back. And since people gave us and donated us money, we didn't financially think about like, where does this money come from? And also our bank accounts were frozen. So like, it was kind of like, we're just using credit cards until like we got new bank accounts and got all that figured out. Also, as a fun reminder, we were trying to buy a house by the end of like July, early August, so our kids could get set up for school and stuff. And whenever you're talking to a mortgage lender and you're suddenly like, by the way, we have a lot of cash. It's in a frozen bank account. And by the way, we now need to open up new bank accounts and buy a car or two. It's just kind of like, that's not usually what a mortgage lender wants to hear, you know? Like all worked out, all good. But like the GoFundMe, I think I've already said this before, but the GoFundMe also gave us a great opportunity to tell our kids that like, yes, some people did something that was very mean, took a lot from us, but there are also people we've never met and will never meet probably giving us money because they wanted us to feel like things weren't so dark. So to anyone who donated to the GoFundMe, anyone who gave us Venmo money or gave us gift cards or anything like that, it didn't just like help us financially. It gave us a path to bring light to darkness that existed in our family's life. And more important to me is the ability to communicate that to kids. Because like, whenever your daughter just has all of her stuff stolen and some of it you can't physically replace, like you don't just go, well, some people are bad. Like you have to, you're looking for the way to be like, no. Like seriously, like people do selfish things, but there's a lot of people who don't. Yeah. So
amen, brother.
Yep. And then in July, we put an offer in on a house. It got accepted. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, we found out there were foundation issues on the house. And then those people were like, we don't really want to fix the foundation issues. And so we're like, well, cool. We're not going to sign on to a house that has foundation issues. So at the end of July, we backed out of the house. We put an offer on, knowing that school started on like August 12th or something like that. Luckily, like the next day, I found the house we're in currently. And then we went and toured it, put in an offer. They accepted the offer. And then like 3 weeks later, we moved in. Yeah, like
it was a pretty sweet house too.
Yes, it's very nice. Thanks. And we spent like a week. The rental we had was in like Inglewood, I think, area, which is like 15 minutes from here. So we spent a week or two driving the girls from the rental to here to the bus stop so they could get off at the bus stop and know the routine and stuff. So I mean, like, still though, it's not as awful as it could be. The neighborhood we moved into is pretty much all young families with kids about the same age as ours. And they pretty much all go to the same school and all ride the bus.
That's awesome.
So like that, I mean, when you move across the country to a town you've never lived in, you're like, cool, where's community? Like, can I have community near me without driving 2 hours to get to it? And luckily we found a neighborhood in which lots of young families all go to the same school, about the same age kids. And like, it's like instant friendships, basically. It's really cool.
That's awesome.
So it's very nice. Cool. It is very lucky. Very, very, very lucky. Let's do
notable guests.
Notable guests, not favorite, because that's not polite to all of our guests, because every child is our favorite child.
We don't show favoritism.
We don't show favoritism.
Do you want me to go first so you can gather your list?
You go first, and I already have a slight mental list.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. I think I have an idea of who your most notable guest is that was on for this year.
You're probably right. This is in no order whatsoever.
Yes.
Doug Mason, or Mason Douglas, as he likes to be called in his performer name. Yes. He has become a great friend. He had a son that went to the same preschool or daycare as Ada when we lived up in Nashville. He was looking for a community. I told him about the Dad Walk and about the podcast, and he's been pretty much involved in a lot of the Dad Walks and stuff like that. Yeah. We're actually going to a UK Vandy game up in Lexington.
Really? Yeah. That's cool.
In February, so that'll be fun.
Except for that you have to watch Kentucky play basketball.
Whatever. John McLaughlin and Dave Barnes from Dadville.
Cool.
That was pretty cool that they
cool.
came on.
Yep.
Ben Gatlin.
Yes.
Him telling his story. And then also he is a realtor now and is in the same realtor group as Ashley Cates, who lived on Morton, which was pretty cool. Ricky Young, of course.
Who's that? I'm sorry. How do you pronounce that name?
From the Wild Feathers.
Yes.
We've become friends now, which is pretty cool to become friends with one of your favorite band.
Yep.
The lead singer of your favorite band, Jamie Freehan and Chanelli.
Yeah, Chanelli. Yeah.
They kind of motivated me to start working out and getting better health.
Did they really? That's cool.
Yeah. After meeting and talking to them and then following them on Instagram, I'm like, dang, I don't want to be a slob or a lazy slob. I know this one is probably going to be on yours, but Joe Willis from Nashville SC, he is the goalkeeper. He was great to talk to. Really nice guy.
Such a normal person.
Yeah. Yeah. And then one of the most notable is when I had Marcus, Jason, Chris, and Aaron on.
Good.
That was, I am going to show favoritism because that was my favorite.
Yeah,
just
that's fair.
Having my friends on with you, that was a lot of fun. I had a great time.
Yeah. No, I mean, you had, whenever we started this, you had wanted to do that like the entire time of like, let's do like, because it is like, to me, that episode was like the storytelling of you do become a dad and you do have a group of friends that like before you had kids, you were tight with, you were ride and die to some extent. And then you naturally, not that you drift apart, but like life just happens. And then like you look up and it's like, it's been like 7 years since we've done this. So this all just like this hang out. Let's all be together. Let's do this. Yeah. And whenever I knew that I was leaving town, I was like, we got to get this in before I head on out. So yeah.
Well, that's the group that we are now trying to meet up every third Thursday of we went to Martin's in Nolensville this past week. It was just Jason and one of my other friends, Alan, at that time. But everybody else is like, let's do it. And whoever can make it, can make it. So if there's anybody out there that is wanting to try to create community, just set a day of a month and do it that way. Try it out, see if it works. If it doesn't, try something different.
Yep.
But keep looking. Drew Holcomb, that was awesome. He's a great artist. I love his music.
Yep.
And when he came on, I was like, dude, that's awesome. And then Brett Moore, one of the other Wild Feathers.
Yeah.
So hopefully we can get some of the other Wild Feathers on since they're all dads. And
they're all dads, man.
Just going to their last concert in Nashville for the year and being able to be backstage with all of them was pretty daggone cool. I brought Jason along.
Yeah.
And we just had a great time.
Yeah. No, it's awesome. I am so happy that that's how that all worked out. Also, just massive shout out to Jerry Pentecost for asking for Ricky's number. And because I was like, you're friends with Ricky Young, aren't you? He was like, oh, yeah, we're buds. And I was like, can you ever come on this podcast? Can you introduce us? I want to make Justin's life better. And he did. So Jerry Pentecost, one of the nicest, best networkers you'll ever meet in your life.
And he would have been on the top list, but he was 2023.
Yeah, he's last year. Yep. So can't add him to it. Was that 10? Did you do 10?
Yes.
Okay, cool. I'm being very legalistic here. I'm going to scroll through the episode list and try to count on my fingers as I go. I will say Ben Gatlin, his story, his whole experience with Covenant, walking us through what it was like to have gone to a school, work at a school, send your daughters to a school in which there was a school shooting. And I just feel like being able to share his story was extremely privileged. I think how I view every interview we do is that we have a responsibility to the person who we're talking to their story, to respect their story, to give their story the best space for it. And Ben told me multiple times, like, thank you. I felt very like safe, comfortable to share the details, which all those details are extremely intimate details of his life. Like, he talked to us about how he introduced evil to his kids, basically, because he had to tell them that their school got shot up. Like, that is insane. And he was
something
very
easy to do.
It's not. He was vulnerable. He was honest. And to me, like, that story is just one that needed to be told. So, Ben, I am very grateful that you're willing to come on and just.
And I think that was the most listened to episode as well.
By far. Yeah, no, that one was like the most, I mean, which makes sense because it's a very unique story and that community is very tightly knit. So, yeah, that one was one where I'll just be eternally grateful. I will probably always think that was the most important episode we ever do in this podcast, because
maybe
I think that community just have more representation for them, and what their experience was like on one of the darkest days in Nashville's history is there's more stories to be told there. So I'm grateful we were able to be part of it. Scrolling through the list, Jeremy Ivy, because he actually hung out with him whenever he came out here in Denver, whenever they did a show at Red Rocks. And
that's pretty cool.
He's just a fun dude. He's ridiculous, huge storyteller. Ben Wright, I'll give you a shout out just because I followed you. He's the Nashville SC sports reporter. I think he won Sports Reporter of the Year for like the Best of Nashville this year.
Yeah, I think
he got that, which is very well deserved. That dude works super hard, super easy to talk to, super fun. Ron Ortiz II. Like,
yes,
that dude is freaking insane at music. Like, he's one of those guys where I watch him play guitar and I'm like, I'm just not going to play guitar anymore. Like, you've got this. This is your lane. You've got this. And like, just one of the nicest dudes ever.
Yeah, he was.
He also did. Nice. He did an album with Mitch Dane, who also came on the podcast at some point in time. Is really fun to me. Ian White from Safe House Tattoo. That was one you weren't able to be on. But Ian, we mostly just talked about our love of cigaros and addiction and what his life was like during the pandemic. And I thought that was just really cool. He also has one of the cooler guitar or tattoo shops in town. Joe Willis is still insane that he was willing to come on the podcast, and that like someone at Playground and saw him and recognized, was like, hey, if you ever want to come on the Dad Podcast, he was like, yeah, sure, send me an email. We'll always give a massive shout out to him, because in the car that was stolen was the signed jersey that I had whenever he came into the episode. And, I reached out to him, asked him like, hey, if you could replace this, that'd be great. And instead of just sending me a jersey signed by him, he did pass it around the entire locker room and everyone who was there. So I went from a jersey that had like 2 or 3 signatures on it to a jersey that I know was specifically passed around a locker room because Joe was intentional and just a good person, and got signed by everyone and then mailed it to me. And just, that's freaking cool. That's freaking cool. I still haven't put it like in like a shadow box or anything like that, because on the list of, I won't wash it, okay? But like,
for all those listening, Devon was probably going to wear and wash
I would never have done that
jersey, and maybe I told him, do not wear that.
You never know but if it looks good, it looks good. Similar to your episode with all your friends, having Andrew Chapman on. He was a guy who I went to college with, does meditation stuff, and he was a really good reminder of like just the benefit of being kind to people. Because like our freshman year was living in a halfway house, knowing that if he messed up, he'd probably go to jail because he's on parole. And like, he's just a dude I talked to in the lobby of my freshman dorm and got along with and hung out with all the time. And he was like, no, man, that was like extremely helpful, because I thought like my world was kind of crazy, and like just having a dude be like normal with you was like really nice. And I'm like, oh, I just thought we liked similar music and we were cool. So it was a good reminder to me of like the moments of, if I'm like, say hi to this person, be kind or something like that. If I'm like, they probably don't want to be bothered, be like, no, just try, just see what happens.
Yeah.
Little bit of kindness goes a long way. Wesley Dean, he's the Australian winner of Australian Idol. I did a phone call with him. He's been super nice. I feel like I've messaged with him still afterwards.
Australia.
And he's just like super kind. I brought him, when Matt Barlis, the other Australian guest we had on, I made him lamingtons, which is like a yellow cake that you then dip in chocolate and in coconut. And I was like, hey, Wesley, I have some extra. Do you want any? And he was like, oh, yeah, sure. That'd be great. So I drove to his house, gave him some, talked to him for a little bit. He actually gave me one of his for his album that he'd recorded in Nashville, Crazy Hearts. He gave me a vinyl of it. He was like, here you go, man. Take this. Thanks for helping me promote it. Thanks for being nice and stuff. And like, just a normal dude, who's played the world, like done a bunch of really cool stuff, just being like a normal guy. I thought Braden Gall of 440 Media was really fun to talk to.
Yeah.
Just because he's ridiculous and over the top. And I felt like if I knew how to actually do this podcasting stuff correctly, I feel like I would figure out how to like pitch him to have our Dad Podcast be part of his network and stuff, because.
Well, we can always try.
But I don't understand how pitching works.
Read some books, Devon.
I will read other books. But no, Braden was very human. Like, because he talked about like the stress of being at home with kids during the pandemic and what it's like to be on sports radio and have people rip you to shreds. And also just like he takes parenting very seriously. And it's just, in his episode, he said a thing that like I've always agreed with, and I'm glad he verbalized, is that like when people are going through rough times, you do just come and look at them and be like, okay, you're a dad. You feel like you're doing things wrong. Do you give a shit? Like, do you care? Like, do you care? Like, in general, do you care? And if you say yes, then you're going to figure it out. If you go, man, I'm apathetic, I don't care anymore, then it's like, okay, now I'm terrified. Now I'm worried for you. I was just really glad that he communicated that, because I have thought that also of like when people are like, I'm not doing this. I'm failing at all this. I'm like, but you care. Like, and like, that's such a good soil. If your soil is that you care, you're going to figure it out. You're going to be okay. What terrifies me the most is whenever I'm apathetic. When something happens and I'm like, man, I don't really care. It's like, that's worrisome. That's not going to lead to something good.
That's on the verge of psychopath. No.
Kind of. I think I have 2 more that I can list. Wes Bowling was really cool to talk to. He does that. He does the Nashville SC podcast, and he's had a crazy year in which his wife has had a lot of medical issues. So he's had to like take his son, who's not in kindergarten yet, but he's like, I think he's 3 or 4, and basically go to other cities while his wife is going through like rehab and therapy and figure out how to like be a solo dad in a city he's never lived in before. And Wes's like optimism about life is just like so obvious that like, even though he had a year in which he never predicted like, oh, I'm in Omaha, so my wife can go to rehab. Like that's not how he predicted this year to go. But he's there with his kid, trying to find trains, trying to find fun stuff to do with his kid. I feel like sadly a stereotype for dads, optimism is not something that's usually ascribed to like men. It's usually like being like overly literal, like overly realistic and stuff. And Wes is just like the super optimistic. Yeah, we got this. We're going to figure this out. This is going to be great. Do I want to scream at a pillow sometimes? Of course I want to scream at a pillow sometimes. Okay, I'll try to keep, we've had a lot of cool guests this year. Damn it. I'll give my last one to John Davidson of Johnny Longlegs and the Brummies.
That was a fun one.
He is someone who I think I told him this, but like if we would have gone to high school together, we would have either been in a band together or been in rival bands or played like the same bill. So he's been extremely nice. I did like the little piano tutorial video of All Dinosaurs, like one of his songs he did is Johnny Longlegs. And before I did it, I was like, hey man, I'm pretty sure this is the melody, right? And he's like, dude, you got it. You nailed it. This is awesome. And I was like, doing those silly little videos, I never thought I'd be able to send it to the person who wrote the song and be like, hey man, does this seem right to you? And have them be like, hell yeah, post this as soon as you can. So that's really cool.
Yeah.
But honestly, looking through that list, it is really hard to. Every single one genuinely does have I got to talk to like the guys from the Lone Bellow this year. Like that's pretty freaking cool. Yeah, we talked to Drew Holcomb. There's like John Epcar is like one of the nicest guys ever. Yeah, everyone. Dang it. Mike Cortez was a really fun conversation. Finny Pale. Yeah, like, damn it. They're all good. You're all good guests. All right. Thanks.
They all were really good guests. So
yes.
That list is just notable to us. It doesn't mean anything.
Yes. Also, in saying that, I think we did 50 episodes this year, and I work really hard at not repeating guests. I just want to point out that was a lot of scheduling and a lot of a lot of figuring it out.
Shout out
so
to you, Devon.
I'm going to give myself some credit.
I don't feel like I do much at all other than just show up and talk.
That's fine.
Other than just shooting out a whole bunch of messages to people, hoping that they will reply, and then letting you take the reins after that.
Buddy. Whatever. That's how we got like Arnold Mint and Freddie. And like there are lots of people we've had on where like I would have overthought it. I'm much more of an overthinker, and you're much more of like, no, just ask. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So,
if they don't answer,
that's fine.
Who cares?
That's
if
all
they
good.
say no,
now you know, move on.
At least you know.
Yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, no, it's been a really cool year. Let's talk about what things we would like to see for 2025. What would you for the podcast, Justin? Besides, we won't we're still thinking of the name change. We've got a good idea for what it is. We won't announce what we're thinking. No, not yet. Let's still sit on it for a week or two. All okay.
Right. I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm excited
Hopefully,
too.
if it sticks.
So far, it's been resting well with the soul. So we will continue to see.
Haley likes it too.
Oh, cool. Then it's safe.
We should go. As soon as I said it, she was like, "Oh, I like it."
Cool. Yep. But yeah, go ahead. What
something that I would like to have on or more guests and about having a pediatrician on, having just a couples counselor or a counselor for kids on things of that nature. Maybe a NICU nurse would be pretty cool. Things that I think would be great topics that everybody would really enjoy. And then having more resources that we can promote and hopefully collaborate with other type of dad groups, like I told you about the Daily Dad, which is pretty cool. He has his own podcast. He has his own articles, daily emails that he sends out. I signed up for it.
Oh, cool.
He has some great books as well. So anybody that's listening, check him out. And then Wander Dads, which is something that is like a daily map, gives ideas and gives activities for dads to take on.
Yeah.
Costs money, so if you're not willing to do that, then this is probably not for you, but it's another resource for, hey, what can I do with my kids that's not sitting watching TV or having them look at a screen.
Yeah.
We did a podcast with one of their members, but then also had you went out. I think it was it early this year, like in January? Or
I don't remember.
It was either January or last December.
Yeah.
They had an event in Nashville that we were part of, which they have a daily mailer. Again, do things activity-wise for dads and with their kids. And then doing the daily quote.
Yeah.
Daily dad quote.
How do you feel about that so far, Justin?
I like it. And some people seem to like it. So I've got a lot of quotes already.
Nice. Good. That's great. No, I think it's always good to like know what limitations, what resources exist out there for you. So like I don't have the energy to create a list of like, here are 20 things you can do with your kid that don't require a screen. Like I'm good. But to know who does have the staffing to do that is very important. So
yeah, we don't have to be the creators.
We don't.
We can guide. We can guide them to the resources.
Yes. No, I think I was already talking to some doulas to be like, hey, would you ever want to come on and do an episode?
That would be cool.
Because, I will always over promote doulas. But I'm with you. I always think that like most men's hesitation to know where to like take a step with family stuff is just because they're like, well, how do I find out about this? And I mean, so yeah, you just want to give them resources. That's it. I think most men every man I know is willing to learn more to be better for their family. They just don't know where the first step to take is. So if we can in any way help people with that first step, then that is something that I am extremely happy to do. Let's think, what am I excited for 2025? I am not excited to figure out how to edit video, but I know I need to figure out how to edit video.
We will figure it out. You will figure it out. I can always look into it and
yeah. I'm going to be
shoot you some tips.
I'm going to be really nitpicky about all things when it comes to editing our episodes. So just let me sit with it and figure it out. So there
you go.
I'm not going to hand it off anytime soon. So I should, but I won't. So we'll figure out a video. I'll figure it out eventually one day. I don't have any like guests for 2025 where I'm like, oh my gosh, I really hope this person comes on. Genuinely, just the fact that anyone wants to come on, I'm still just like, holy crap, someone still wants to come on this podcast.
Yeah.
I am really hopeful
I need to get back to the mass group or messaging again too.
Yeah, apparently. Yeah. I'm excited to potentially get one guest who should come on is Billy Brimblecombe, who lived in Nashville for a while. He's a drummer. He has a foundation called Steps of Faith in which they get prosthetic limbs to people who don't have insurance. And so if you've ever watched like the videos of Jason Sudeikis singing at a nonprofit fundraiser, that's Billy's nonprofit fundraiser.
Cool.
So I knew him whenever he lived in Nashville. He said he'd be willing to do an episode, but he's a really busy dude. But like everything he does is like awesome. He does a lot of fundraising stuff. He supports a community that like most people don't pay attention to. And I'm excited to get him on. He's a really nice guy. And I think I'm most excited trying to figure out how to take our reach of dads from Nashville to more than just Nashville. Yeah. I think we're still, if you're in Nashville, we still want to talk to you if you're a dad.
But neither of us are in Nashville.
Yeah. So it kind of changes things
change,
a bit. Yes.
I think and I was talking to Haley about this, the Nashville dads kind of hinders us.
It does.
Trying to find people outside of the Nashville market.
Correct.
So changing that name, I think, will not just limit us to Nashville, but to national or even international if we want to have international dads.
Listen, I'm still waiting for you to okay that the name change is the National Dads so that I can finally talk about the National on every single episode and relate it to dad life. That's the only holdup here. Which, by the way, the National Dads is available as a podcast. Don't steal it. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see how we grow in that way. Still, I think I mostly just try to feel humble and grateful by all of this because any guest we have on is always like, man, that was really lucky and really nice just to have a time and a space to talk about how much I care about my family and my kids.
Yeah.
And it's just like, anytime I'm like, oh, this is a lot of work. What are we doing here? We just moved across the country. You moved. Like, what do we do? I'm like, every single dad who comes on basically stop. Like Matt Carney was very much like, wait, are we really just going to talk about like silly things we do with our kids all day? I'm like, yeah, that's the entire point of this podcast. That's it. We're going to share stories and then we're going to be like, cool, see you next time, man. Thanks for talking for a bit. And that's it. And so this podcast seems to resonate with dads and give dads the ability to explore thoughts, normalize things that maybe they didn't know.
Yeah, and for us, I mean, speaking for myself, I'd be talking to mainly just my core group of friends, whereas I am getting to reach out. I mean, they're not all of our guests are friends that I talk to all the time, but like I've developed some pretty good relationships with some of these people, and it's been amazing. Like Jordan Tepper, Doug, and then we're gonna have Devon on, and then Ricky and Evan. That's a pretty cool, solid group of friends that I would have probably. I mean, other than Evan, I probably would never have talked to or known about.
Yep. And there's a reality of, as you become older, people just get busier and it's harder to know how to make and maintain genuine friendships. And I think this podcast has opened a lot of doors where people have been like, oh, I'd come on that. I would come talk about this. And then you realize we have in common with someone. And then like, it's energizing. It's energizing to realize you have stuff in common with people. Like it gives you optimism, it gives you hope. Like it makes you realize that like you're not alone.
What needs to happen though is Heather become a millionaire, so then you can just fly out here. Every time we do a recording.
Sure.
Because I miss the in person.
I do too.
That was like the man cave hangout spot.
Yes.
That was so cool. And when people came in the door, they're like, "Oh, dude, this is cool. This has got a good vibe."
Massive shout out to Brandon Still, Natural Restaurant Radio, who up until I think I left town in like May. So like we recorded out of his space for half of the year. If you want to do a podcast, reach out to Brandon with Natural Restaurant Radio. He's an awesome dude. He is of all the people who've been supportive of us, he is probably the most supportive. He's the one who reached out to us. He let us use a studio space, worked it out financially with us. Like every single step he could take to help us out and to make things easier for us, he took. So
yeah, I feel like our podcast kind of catapulted when we met him.
Correct.
And started recording there.
Yep, pretty much. It changed how seriously we took it. It changed everything. And that's only because Brandon set up a studio space and was good to work with. We wouldn't be here right now if it wasn't for him. Got to always give him a shout out. But yeah, man, that's about all I got. I should probably check on the kids watching The Grinch downstairs and see what chaos. Justin, it sucks to not live in town around the corner from you anymore. But
yeah, man, I miss you. I do miss you. I miss you a lot.
You just miss my cookies.
No, I do miss the cookies.
Yes. However,
I miss the hanging out.
Yeah, man, sure. I do too. I do think a lot of this podcast isn't just about being a father, but it's also just like the journey of male friendship and like how, I don't know, male friendship isn't really like talked about a lot and how much harder it is to maintain male friendships as you get older. So
dude,
I am grateful to be able to do this podcast with you and to just explore all of that.
Let's wrap it up.
Let's wrap it up. Peace. I'll see you later,
Appreciate
Justin.
You, man.
Right? Yep.
Peace.
Thanks, man. Thanks so much for listening. Please make sure to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at The Nashville Dads, and make sure to follow us on anywhere you find your podcast, and please give us a 5-star rating. And thank you to Matt Oakes for providing the music for the episode. Catch you next time.